Hello, hello. Hey, Chili. Hey, Leo. Happy Friday. So, we're going to be doing game design all day today. At least I'm pretty sure. I did a playtest session yesterday with a friend, and he said he was engaged and that he was intrigued, but he also said that he was a little bit confused by what was going on. And he said something kind of interesting that I hadn't really thought of too much, which is he's like, I don't think I'd be as confused if you didn't have the dream game that you enter. So, let me open this up, plug everything in over here. Yeah. So you start in this platformer. I think this is fine. He did say that there's no real danger here. And yeah, there is not danger. I don't think that's necessarily a problem. I think later games might need difficulty. So anyway, you get through this. You eventually end up in the farming game. And then you go back from here into a combination of the platform and the farming game. And you did find this idea funny, but I think this does some bad things for the game. And I want to think about that and talk through it and everything. So let's just open up Scratch. So problems after a few playtests. So the top two problems are the game structure is a little bit confusing. Part of this is intentional. The game should be a bit disorienting. And part of it could be mitigated by having more of the game so that it eventually makes sense. Hey, Steven. Good morning, everybody. And the other problem is, I think the games themselves aren't fun yet. Or at least the games that we have aren't fun on their own. The platformer doesn't have difficulty, and the farming game is mostly just a set of jokes. It almost feels like you're playing a comedy book rather than a game. So, about the game structure, my friend yesterday said that some of the confusion would be alleviated if I just didn't have the Fever Dream game. So there are a bunch of pros. I guess cons, we already coded it, and there are some jokes in there that are good. Pros, it's not particularly fun to go through a second time and makes the game feel a bit repetitive. Another pro is that we don't have to, like, we don't explain the player's latent game dev powers. So it would be less confusing when you end up in a copy of a game that you already played. And we don't need to explain that the portal randomly sent you to the same game twice. Yeah, so I think one of the big changes, like conclusions, we should probably skip the dream game completely. You should fall asleep in the farming game and wake up in the farming game. Yeah. Cons, it'll cut out a bit of playtime and it'll probably cause us to have to change the demo a bit. Yeah, I think this makes sense to do. Yeah, I think this makes sense. Okay, regarding, yeah, so I think conclusion, cut out the dream game entirely. And document areas to rework. The dream game won't happen, so we don't need clarification about several sections to update, I'll just say. All right, so regarding the games aren't as fun on their own. So part of the direction of this game is that not every game is supposed to be fun on its own, and where they're not fun, we would supplement with story or jokes. And I think there are a decent amount of little funny things that are happening in the farming game. The platformer's too short of a game for it to be a problem with difficulty. Yeah, I think the main questions are, how does the player figure out how to break games? Like, this could be seen as a puzzle, or rather, each game could be seen as a puzzle, which means players could get stuck. The case study would be like the space shooter. The idea was that you could play normally and it would loop forever, or you could just bail out. Maybe the tutorial is, or like maybe the game keeps getting tougher and tougher until you can't win, and the entire screen is covered in bullets. And that's what teaches you to run away. And what do we do about the difficulty of the game? Like, would the platformer benefit from having enemies, difficult jumps? Is this not in the keyboard view over here? Difficult jumps, etc. So yeah, would it? I think it would add some stakes to the gameplay. The story at that point doesn't have any stakes, and you're not even aware that there is a story. The stakes don't need to be real, though. There could be checkpoints or lives or something that just respawn you into the game. Yeah, I wonder if that would make things better. Hmm. We could even have a difficulty selector. Like, easy mode could just be there are no real penalties, or like very minor penalties. And maybe hard mode is like, yeah, if you died in the platformer, you go back to the beginning of the level. But there couldn't be difficulty for the farming game. It just doesn't make sense. And then, yeah, other smaller thoughts. If you can sleep in the farming game, then perhaps you should be able to sleep repeatedly. There's not much of a benefit to this. Could actually end up with a day-night cycle if we wanted. Especially since you're not in this game for long. We could maybe work the dream game back in later stages of the game. Maybe it's just a joke that you pass through. Yeah. Also, another idea I had is just, what if you, I don't know, we need more like, I don't know, game stuff here. I think that's still the issue. I think it's probably the core thing. And I'm just not sure what to do about the farming game. It's one of those nexus points where, depending on what we pick, we could change the direction of the entire game. It could be more or less fun, and we'll just never know. Like, you get in this game. This was pretty funny to my friend last night that he's like, yeah, where am I? Why am I here? And he was mostly just using the shovel on things. And it actually made me realize that having all this grass here in the middle that's all one patch is probably not great, because it looks like you're digging up like the wrong things. He did not ever try planting seeds. He didn't figure out how to change the hotbar. until later. So he never planted seeds and he never watered them. And also, there was no real reason to do this anyway. And then he wandered around the farm for a bit. So he like went down here, went all the way around, looped around, tried going to town, and then eventually tired himself out and went to sleep. He didn't try digging in the house. He didn't actually try using the axe at all. He did end up digging up trees and stuff. He didn't comment on how a shovel could do that. And he thought it was kind of funny that his character's just walking anyway. He thought he'd go into town. So yeah, I'm torn about that. I don't think anything needs to change with the farming game. Especially because a farming game wouldn't really have difficulty to begin with, unless there's combat or something, and we can't just throw combat into every single game just so that you have some way of losing. But yeah, I think we need to gamify everything a little bit more. I'm not totally sure how we do this though. I'm not sure how we would do this. I think adding some difficulty to the platformer could be okay. Long jumps that you might miss and fall, enemies that appear. I don't want to spend even more time doing this stuff though, right? Hey, Blob. Good morning. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I guess another question is like, is the farming game okay as it is? I think that if it weren't, we just have to replace it with another game entirely. It's supposed to be for story. I can't keep revisiting my decisions here. Yeah, I think the farming game makes sense. Yeah, I think my conclusion is still the same as before. It's for story. It's got some funny moments. It doesn't need difficulty. And we need to like set the player's expectations somehow. And the farming game is the way to do it. Yeah. You learn about Sidekick, about portals, etc. By the way, I did spend some time yesterday cleaning up the rest of this. I'll show what I had done. So you get into the community center and Sidekick comes over. This is it. All I see are those levers. At least there's a chair if we get tired. You can toggle one of the levers. Nothing happens. Can you try that one? Character walks over, toggles the lever, portals appear. And yeah, if you were to go into the middle, they'll turn off. Comment that the portals are gone. And if you go into the portal, then Sidekick also walks into the portal. And then it just puts you on the title screen because we don't have anything else afterward. Hey, Flair. Yeah, I got to do some game design. I think it's important to iterate on this stuff now, especially so that we don't get too far in the wrong direction. But yeah, the two main problems that we had are up here. The game structure is a little bit confusing, and the games we have aren't that much fun on their own. And yeah, I think we're gonna have to add attacking to the platformer. I do wonder, should we just make it harder? Yeah, the playtest happened yesterday. Yeah, my friend overall found it fun. Hey, Method. Once you're able to push through some of the quicker, less story-oriented games, the fun will lose out. I think so too. And that's where I don't think we have like a major problem here. Hey, Chef Alton. So, but yeah, one of the comments was like, there's no danger in the platformer game. You are jumping up a little bit and like dashing over to here and then just falling down, and that's the end of the game. And by the way, this takes about a minute or 2 minutes. So it's not, yeah, it wasn't intended to be difficult. And maybe we don't have much to do there. Maybe I'm overthinking this still. Yeah, maybe I'm overthinking this still. I think the intro to the game is probably fine, except for the dream game. We could cut that out entirely. So let's open up another instance of this document, go look at the opening of the game. Yeah, you're in a farming game. You dream that night. It's interactive. You're in the platformer. Enemies are the annoying tutorial man. Attack, shoots crops. So the only thing that doesn't make sense is that if we cut out the dream game, a bunch of time would have passed in between when you fell asleep and when you woke up with no explanation. We would have nothing to explain how so much time passed while you were sleeping. Maybe sleep becomes an important story point. It's when you're acting as the architect in the real world rather than player in the game world. So maybe you have to fall asleep in like every game in some way, or you could fall asleep and it's like time will pass there. So if you're in a space shooter game, there's some like jet rest stop and you fuel up, character falls asleep, and then it's like 4,000 years in the future. I don't know. I don't think that needs to happen necessarily. Hey, Sarah. Good morning. Yeah, nothing to explain how much time passed. It could be that not much time actually does pass, and it's just a day, like in a regular farming game. Yeah, I hadn't thought of this. Had not thought of this. Hey, Cuddlefish. Could be that you just slept for a really long time. I don't know what to do. Yeah, this would negate the joke about you having tons of strawberries, about a bunch of time passing, about you needing to go into town. Hey, Naldas, can you summarize the problem? So I've been working on this game called Stuck in a Broken Tutorial. It hasn't been very long in development, and I've run through just 3 playtest sessions so far. So the way this game starts is like this, where you're in a platformer game. Let me turn this down, at least for me. Hopefully it's not super loud. Yeah, it probably is super loud. Okay, let's turn that down a bit. All right, so you start the game, you're in this platformer, and it's teaching you the basics, right? So press A in here to double jump. You get some diamonds, you come over here, teach you how to dash. And then, because this isn't a real game, it gets you to this section. It says try to collect all the diamonds. You can try, but it's impossible. And you fall through the world and just keep falling and falling and falling. And I think all of this is fine. I don't think this is the problem yet. The problem comes in where there's no real danger in this particular game, and I think that's okay. But it's like this game is not intended to be fun on its own yet. You get into here, it plays out your first cutscene, you meet this kind of spooky looking character, tell you shouldn't be here, and they get out, and they banish you. And now here's where the game goes off the rails a little bit, again, still in a fine way. You wake up in a totally different game. And your character is confused, you're confused, And now you're in a different game's tutorial, and they teach you about the stuff that's happening. So let's just skip through this. Has forever been ruined for me because of AI. So yeah, we're in this farming game, and here's where the problem comes in. So the whole point of this is to just deplete your energy and go to sleep. And once you sleep, you are in a dream game that is a combination of those two games. So we're in the platformer, but there's text in the background that doesn't make sense. There's strawberries floating in the air that you can't collect. And you've got this bar at the top that lets you like fling out these tools repeatedly. And yeah, it's just that like, you know, nonsensical, like you're in a dream. I think this sequence needs to get cut out. But the problem is that once you return to the farming game, it is after a bunch of time has passed. So now your farm is covered in crops. So concrete problem number one is like, if you fell asleep for just a night, why did so much time pass? And maybe we just don't explain that to the player. I think the best answer is probably this. This feels like the best answer, but your character would definitely be confused about how that occurred, since they would have no memory of being the architect. 3 streams, nice. Options could be add more content to the platform, or maybe have a game in between the platform and farming with more depth or conflict. I think this is where I was saying, I think the intro is actually possibly fine, especially once we cut out the dream game. It's like we have a platform which just feels like a real game. Then we throw you with that twist of like, oh my God, no, there's a farming game now. And then we give you a little bit of the story exposition, and then we throw you into just some fun games. So that within the first like 15 minutes, it's not just story and it's not just games that don't matter. So the next game you get into has to be something where it's just mechanically fun. I see, Flare. Yeah. Another glitch occurred. Yeah, I think that's probably fair. From the player's perspective, it could be that they think it's just another glitch. Yeah, that's fair. Hey, Belisius. Imagine for things like this, some hand waving can be done. Yeah, okay. Okay, I'm fine with that. I want to write down these conclusions. Again, this today is going to be entirely about just being in documents. We might write a tiny bit of code to skip the dream game, but like I'm not going to be doing much coding today, if any. So I want to write down the story beats here. Breaking out of them, finding the architect, getting teleported in the new games. Each time they're surprised how quickly you're doing this. Okay, sounds good. So this, yeah, we got to change some of the rules of the world here. Architect. That's fine. They didn't notice. They'd be very surprised when you showed up with a different sprite, since it would clarify that they're not actually sending you. Yep. I could have sworn I wrote down somewhere about the randomness. Oh, man. Am I streaming right now? Yes, you should be able to see/hear me. I quite like the idea of the dream game. I think it can happen later, but I think that early on it is a little too confusing and we can't explain it. And the way I was kind of talking about this with my friend yesterday is, imagine you're reading a high fantasy or a high sci-fi book, something that's got a lot of depth. And let's take Dune, for example, and they talk about spice and they talk about, like, I don't know, seeing the future in different timelines, whatever else. You kind of just trust that, okay, this is a well-respected book. They're probably going to explain things, and sure enough, they do, and it feels satisfying by the end, but you are kind of confused at the beginning. And if you consider murder mysteries in general, a murder mystery, you're kind of supposed to be in the dark for. You're supposed to have a little bit of an idea of what's going on. Yeah, sure, you get the premise, like, this person was murdered. Here are some suspects. We don't know exactly why they did it, though. There's some other pieces of the story that come out as you're reading through it. So I don't think everything needs to be clear up front. But I think with gaming nowadays, if you don't have a reputation as a studio that's making good games, then people won't have that patience to find out. And they'll feel like the confusion is a fault of the game and not something that's going to get clarified later. put a calendar on the wall the player can interact with, or you have a health bar. We could even just put a UI element in the game showing that time has passed. I don't think the problem is that time has passed. I think it's that we don't explain why time has passed. So as an example here in Stardew Valley, you have this at the upper right. It says Thursday 18. There's some season indicator, maybe it's that or that. Yeah, I think that's a season right there. Yeah. So like we could change this to, Friday the whatever in the, many months in the future. But that's not, I think, the real issue. I think the issue is the player might be like, wait, why did weeks pass? All I did is fall asleep. But as Nautilus was saying, it could just be that, oh, it seems like a glitch. So it was core in another way. There's a lot of like story aspect to this, and it's not probably worth going into too much right now because the player won't know any of this stuff. And that's kind of why I was talking about this like high fantasy, high sci-fi stuff. Like there is a story here of there's the architect, they're that spooky character that you discovered, and they made these worlds, but the worlds are flawed. And any characters who don't find the games fun become like mindless NPCs. And the reason you're able to go between these worlds is because you actually find it fun to break these worlds. And yeah, none of this is explained at first. It's just that character who says like, you shouldn't be here, get out. So I want to still be hand wavy about this and let the player discover this. And I think the dream game distracts from that. So I think I'm going to try cutting it out for the playtester I've got on board for today. Oh yeah, and there's more of a farm loop going on too. Eventually, I mean, you get into this, you eventually go into town. You're told to collect some strawberries and stuff. Hey Goose, how'd the playtest go? I only did one so far, and no major surprises. I think one of the nice things about doing playtests is you start to see some consistency across players, and the consistency here is like the game is a little bit confusing, and the sub games could be more fun. That sort of thing. These are some common sentiments. And granted, there have been 3 playtesters so far. There's another one today and possibly another tomorrow. Oh, wait a second. When did I schedule that for tomorrow? Is this a problem? No, this is not a problem, maybe. And yeah, sure thing, Nautilus. Yeah. And welcome to the stream. Let me write this down because this is probably pretty important. Talk to wife about plans tomorrow, or talk to friend about meeting 15 minutes earlier. Yeah. Okay. So I worry about the players not getting that my game is supposed to be funny and just assuming it's bad instead. Yeah, I think a lot of this has to do with marketing. So this game is called Stuck in a Broken Tutorial. That alone indicates to you that it's not a standard game. If we called it something like The Legend of Zelda, this implies, oh, it's an adventure game. You're going to learn about what's going on here. We're going to tell a story, and not that it's going to be some like satirical comedy of a game. But calling it Stuck in a Broken Tutorial already kind of puts you in the mindset of like, okay, something's off here. Like that's not a normal name for a game. So yeah, I think it starts with that. And then I think your Steam page helps, and I think, how you present the game. And you could outright have an NPC tell you like, look, this isn't your normal game. Like don't expect the typical experience. I almost wonder if I'd put that at the beginning of Skelliseller, like this game will last you 3 hours. Like don't expect more. If you're annoyed by that, just go refund the game now. Like I wonder if that would have helped. Sound of gaming. So yeah, I like this idea. I want to write this down somewhere. I don't remember where we put this. I think it's somewhere. Like, why did you end up in the farming game twice? I could have sworn I addressed this somewhere. Yeah, this is not an issue anymore. I don't know how much I want to keep this up to date. Yeah, I don't have this. Let me just see if I can find this quickly. No, I can't. Okay, that's fine. I have about 3 hours of undeath left. You don't like it, refund me. All right, well, it's definitely an opening of the game where I talk about this stuff, right? There's the whole Fever Dream game. Yeah, I talk about the dreaming stuff. All right, so this isn't going to be the case anymore. I should generally like write this somewhere. So, past scratch conclusions. Ditching the Fever Dream game. Rationale. It's more confusing than it is entertaining. It it loops it yeah, it feels like it loops two games that you've already played. The platformer and then the farming game again. You also see the architect, but without a like meaningfully different experience. And it's based on a story point that we won't be explaining for a very long time, which is that you become the architect. And then other thoughts from the player's perspective, it'll seem like just another glitch that they were asleep for a long time, or that so much time passed while they were sleeping. From player's perspective, which is the character, they would be confused about how much time has passed, but they may swallow the confusion for a bit since they were confused about even being in the game. And from the story's perspective, while you're asleep, you're actually like acting as the architect in the real world. This is sort of an awakening of yourself as a game character while still being yourself in the real world. Yeah. Get them to laugh once, then I feel like the game just works. Yeah, it's kind of an interesting phenomenon with comedy where you could be watching like the world's funniest movie, and at the beginning you might be laughing out loud, and then as you get used to the level of humor in it, you might not laugh as often, even though you still recognize that it's funny. Like each person who has played Stuck in a Broken Tutorial so far of the three has had some interesting reactions to things. Hey Phil. They've had some interesting reactions to things. They've laughed at some of the jokes in the game, but then they won't laugh at other parts. They won't find some things interesting. Like my friend accidentally threw the axe in the farming game. He didn't find it like particularly funny. It was just a thing that happened to him. And I think it's because he was trying to do something else at the time. So yeah, in the farming game, for those who haven't seen this, let me skip this. There we go. So yeah, when you select a different thing, a different tool, you can plant seeds, you can water your crops. And then if you pick the axe and you try using it on a tree or something, instead of using it, you just throw it. And then this dialogue pops up saying, now you have the ability to run. And yeah, sure enough, you can move faster. So it's like a really goofy, funny thing in my mind. And yeah, my friend didn't like particularly find this funny or try picking up the axe afterward. You can't pick up the axe again. But I think someone will probably find that like very funny. And yeah, I think it's cool. Okay, so I think I'm just going to leave this here for now. And maybe even write that up here. Note, I'll try to keep this up to date, but I may put more rationale into past scratch conclusions. All right, sorry, I want to do that off screen for a sec. I am the someone. I'm also the someone. Excuse me, I had to sneeze. Okay, and I want to put the same note here in like rules of the world. And maybe also an opening of the game. Yeah. All right. So I'm happy enough with that. And at some point today, okay, so we got to answer these questions. And I also need to answer like which sub games are coming next. The next one has to be mechanically interesting to show that there's more depth than just uh, yeah, a bunch of disconnected, well, seemingly disconnected sub games. Okay, so these questions. How does the player figure out how to break games? Each game could be seen as a puzzle. So I haven't planned a lot of these games yet. We have some ideas, and some of them are just kind of like silly ideas on their own, like this one, Maximum Chickens. I never wrote down the overview of this. Whole reason you're raising chickens is to harass adventurers who strike the chickens too much. An event would happen like in A Link to the Past where the chickens swarm the adventurer. I mean, in this case, the breaking the game, it's not really breaking out of the game. And maybe this is another good example. Where did that just go? Yeah, here. Case study, Maximum Chickens. The joke is why you're raising chickens. The game may be fun on its own, but you can't play it in the intended way to begin with. Show your friend a meme video and they don't laugh. Soul destroyed. Breaking the simulation. Helpful for us to have other characters who knew what was going on, feeding you info even if they were cryptic. Yeah, there's a little bit of that going on in this game already. So when you're in this farming game, you eventually make it over to the town and you talk to some of these NPCs and they say like bland, boring things like in a normal game. Terrible weather we're having, isn't it? Talk to this person. Lovely weather we're having, isn't it? And then this character comes in and starts explaining a little bit more about what's going on in their own way. So they say, I saw you talk to those NPCs. You're different. You say, leave me alone. Eureka, that proves that you have agency. I can't tell you how long I've been waiting for something like this. I had no idea you were the new villager, but please, I want to exercise my agency too. Ask me something. So you ask them a question, and now without pressing anything on the controller, they're picking their own options. So this is the way of showing that, like, hey, you're not the only person who can think in this game. Like, yeah, there's some mindless drones for NPCs here, but then there's also someone who's like an agent in this world. And I think that's good. I think this sets up some of the foundation here. I almost wonder if you should be able to pick which games you go into next, but like it wouldn't make sense if your character has that ability. So I think my general conclusion is that it's not important for the player to figure anything out. The overall game isn't a puzzle. It's just to have fun playing the games presented. Yeah. And if there ever is a puzzle, then we just need enough hints to nudge you forward. Yeah, I think this is reasonable. Yeah, so I'll say games as puzzles. The name of the game, or like sub games as puzzles. The name of the game is Stuck in a Broken Tutorial. But we never actually want you to be stuck. Some games are funny in how they subvert expectations, but you're never really confused about how to proceed as a player. If there are puzzles, then we can provide hints for how to move past them. or beyond them. So for example, if we stick with my original space shooter idea, where you can simply turn around and leave at any time. This happens, by the way, where this is just lagging. It's going to type everything out. I don't know why that's happening so much now. Then we eventually need an enemy mechanic that pushes you downward. If you die anyway or beat 6 loops worth of bosses, then we should probably just write out using asteroids in the sky, turn around, dummy, like fly the other way. Yeah, I like that someone else picking options. I think there are a lot of good ideas that underpin this game, and I need to present them in a way that is compelling and fun. And I think we're on the way there. So yeah, I think we've answered this question. Let me go take a look again. Man, what it's like the laggiest thing. Yeah, it's not important for the player to figure anything out. The game isn't a puzzle. Just have fun. If there ever is a puzzle, you just need enough hints to nudge you forward. And we could say, I guess this is the important part here. Let's go write this down in game mechanics. From the architect's perspective, it could be that you're not playing the games as intended, and that's how they're broken. It's not even it could be. You're not playing the games as intended, and that's how they're broken. So it still makes sense. Yeah. Hey, Strawn, how you doing? Good morning. All right, so difficulty of the game. I talked about this a little bit before. Difficulty. I talked about being able to like repeat areas because I think I talked about collecting diamonds at some point. This is something very recent that I mentioned. Yeah, here it is, replayability. Hmm. Hmm. I think in general, there are a few ways to do difficulty. One is have the players select it ahead of time and be able to change it on a settings page. Another is have different routes through a game that are different, that are of varying difficulties. E.g., a long path with weak enemies versus a short path with hard enemies. Another is like scale to what the player can do. And I'm not going to try to be exhaustive with this list. The overall question is what makes the most sense for Stuck in a Broken Tutorial. I wanted it to be a casual, accessible game. Should we just be writing this all in the document? Wanted this to be a casual, accessible game. This is why I didn't even require dashing in the platformer. So if you can just waltz through the game, some players will do that and not crank up the difficulty. We could just make like an easy mode and a challenging mode. Problem is, not every game is going to lend itself well to difficulty. Kind of leaning toward a selectable difficulty. Maybe you can do it on a per game basis. You could repeat it anytime. Yeah, that could potentially work. Because the way I was thinking about this, I said this to my friend yesterday, but just like imagine chess is one of the sub games. No gimmicks, no jokes. It's just chess. Not everyone plays at the same level. So the only real thing that makes sense is a selectable difficulty. And yeah, that's it. That's what we'd have to do, right? Because if you're like a grandmaster player, you don't want to play some like baby game of chess. And if you're completely new to chess, you don't want to have to learn all the rules just to be able to win. What's a friend? Hey, Scholar. And maybe whatever you chose for the last game could just be defaulted for the new game. Am I decent at chess? I haven't played chess in a very long time. I am probably not very good. Yeah. And the number of games I've played in my lifetime is probably like, it's got to be less than 50. I don't know what it is. It might be 20 or something, or 30. I don't think I've played a lot of it. Me and the son are going to a local card show tomorrow. Woohoo. What does that mean? What kind of cards? That sounds fun though. Nice that you're palling around with your son. Yeah, so the issue is that selecting the difficulty can take you out of the game. Pokemon and sports. Oh, cool. Yeah, neat. Yeah, Pokemon cards are still huge. I wonder if there's a better way to do this. I mean, I don't really have a game in mind because I haven't designed a lot of them yet. But for example, for the space shooter, I mean, it doesn't really matter what the difficulty is because you're not supposed to play it. You're supposed to just leave it. So I think in a lot of cases, having you pick a difficulty is not important. And maybe what we do is we go with this route, like have different routes through the game. As a very, very brief example of this, that's not what I meant to press. There we go. So the brief example, this part where it says press A in the air to double jump, I kind of mentioned this already, but I showed this to my wife and she was kind of jumping like this and she couldn't make it up to the platform because she just wasn't timing her jumps correctly and she wasn't holding the jump button. So I added this platform in. And now you can very easily make it between these two without any real difficulty. In fact, you can go way beyond this if you needed to. You just have to land here and then you just single jump up to here. So I think this is a good example of like, hey, if you want the hard version, just jump straight up. And if you want the easier version, then jump over to this and then jump up. So I think we could probably do that in most games where if a game seems like it's too hard, you can just cheese it. What switches do I use? Grams. I have the parts list over here, I think. So I use these. Kale low profile, chalk red crystal. I think they're pretty small in terms of actuation force. It says 50. Yeah. 50 plus or minus 10. I thought they were like 30s actually, but yeah. When I got these switches, I would rest my hand on the keyboard and do something like this, where I feel like I'm not putting a lot of pressure down, but I actually am holding a key. So like it felt pretty light to me. Yeah, so I like the idea of having different paths that could control the difficulty. The simplest example that's already in the game is the double jump section of the platformer. Maybe that's where we just add diamonds for when something is harder. This wouldn't apply to a chess game unless you could keep challenging the opponent and they get harder and harder. Meta difficulty. Well, like I said, I think there are a lot of different ways of doing this. And actually, one of the ones I just wrote down now is another way you could do this, where it's like you could have, let's say you have like a fighting game. You could have it so that fight 1 is always easy, and then fight 2 is maybe medium, and then fight 3 is hard. And then from there on, like infinitely scale until you can't win it anymore. Or not even, it doesn't have to be infinite. So it's like, okay, well, you can stop at any time that you want to stop. You could have the selectable difficulties. You could have it so that they're, yeah, just different paths through a level. And maybe we just use a mixture of these things. We could just do whatever the game calls for. Maybe you enter a game and have to pick the difficulty and can change. Why is it so laggy? I don't know if it's just that this document is massive now. It's getting annoying. Or maybe just gonna have many tabs open. All right, I think we've answered this question. Yeah, difficulty. I think when possible, just put different routes through the level. Yeah. Yeah. So difficulty. We don't need to stick to one manifestation of difficulty. We can do what makes sense for a particular subgame. If chess were a subgame, we would start by asking easy, medium, hard. Or we could always have them play an easy game and then let them choose. However, for a platformer, it may just make more sense to have a sign in the game. Well, not even a sign, yeah. To have a spike-filled path in the game that's obviously harder than a longer, more casual path. It's like a play-as-you-go tutorial. Yeah, and a lot of games naturally have a difficulty progression, even if you don't choose the difficulty. Like Super Metroid just starts you off. But the early sections are way easier than the later sections, just in terms of the mechanics expected of you, how many enemies, how much damage they do. In fact, I'd say it's very common in games, pretty much any RPG, like early enemies won't do much damage. Later enemies may hit like a truck. So it becomes about like, okay, what is your equipment? What is your skill expression? What's expected out of your just kind of gameplay length in the later levels anyway. And yeah, that's kind of natural. It's like, yeah, Super Metroid didn't have a difficulty selector. And in fact, I think it actually got probably too hard for most players. And that can be a problem in itself too. It's like a game is too hard. You probably want a way to lower the difficulty. And I always talk about this, but I really like what modern Mario games have done. And I think it was Odyssey. Maybe it was Odyssey. No. There was, I don't remember which game it was. Anyway, one of the games was if you just died like 3 or 4 times in a row, you'd start with a Starman. So you'd be invincible for 20 or 30 seconds or something. And it was a way of like, hey, let's say a kid is just kind of flailing around and they can't figure out how to get past an enemy or something. It's like, well, now you're invincible. And I think, what's that game called? Astro Boy? Is it called Astro Boy? Astrobot? Astrobot? It's Astrobot. Astrobot did this too, where there are different chunks of a level, and at one point, if you fail enough, it just moves you to the next one. So I kind of like that, where it's like, look, they're not supposed to be super difficult games to begin with, but for people with accessibility problems or who just aren't very good at games, then yeah, you can still move past it. So I kind of like that idea. If a game is ever too difficult to begin with, we can keep lowering the difficulty for players. And yeah, without difficulty, I think many players will treat this more like they're reading a book or like they're playing a book rather than playing a game. Yeah, I'll just say reading a book. Which may bore them. Okay. Orangey, hello, hello, and thank you for the resub. Happy 51 months. That is a long time. Hope you're doing well. Thank you, thank you. I think another smaller thought is like we should add some difficulty to the platformer, at least to get all of the diamonds. And if it's too hard, actually, we could even use that as the tutorial. We can steer them away. The game can even say diamonds are optional and sometimes hard to get. Yeah. I like that idea. You may miss this in the platformer, so we may need to reinforce this later. Hey, Pressel. Happy Friday. Yeah, so difficulty is tied into diamonds at some point. In some cases, getting diamonds can, or like diamonds can indicate difficulty. Just freestyle that. Wow, I never would have known. All right, so what was the last question that I had? I feel like this we've kind of talked about now. So yeah, which sub games are coming next? How do we playwright all of this? I do kind of want to cut out the dream game for the playtest today. Maybe we do that next. Cut out the dream game for the playtest today. Shouldn't this be really easy to do? Because I have unfinished farming game. We could just swap back to the farming game, right? What did this used to say? Yeah. I think we can just do this, and I think we're done. Let's see. It's funny. Just cut out an entire game this way. I guess I need to play through to get to this point. What happened? Oh, I have 2 instances of the game open? That's what happened. Alright, so let's get through... What am I doing? Yeah, I can teleport. So I will teleport. And we'll speed this up. Okay. Skip. Deplete. Go to bed. Play at regular speed. Interesting. Okay, so it puts you back into the same game, but it does not know that you've already done this because I forgot to put this here. And now it's fixed. Yeah, so that's what I think I'm going to do for today. I have a playtest session at 3 o'clock, and I want to see how this friend reacts without having the dream game in. And later I can show it to them by having them just do this because I have the cheats in the game. But yeah, let's try this one more time. So I'll speed this up. Yep, skip this. Deplete energy. Go over to here. Fall asleep. It wakes me up, and now I go outside and a bunch of time has passed. Yeah, that's it. I think this is probably a more compelling way to play the game. And then if you need to, as a playtester, whoops, that's not right. Go to here. Yeah, so I'll ask him to try this out afterward and just see what he would have thought about it. This is really hard to play at 8x speed. Yeah. Maybe what we could do is hide this behind some kind of super secret in the game. I hadn't thought about that. Like, I already coded all this. Problem is, you end up back in the real world. You probably shouldn't. Maybe falling down just makes you wake up. I'll write that down. Well, isn't this a number? 115 streams, nice. Alternatively, we could allow you to go to sleep again in the farming game to experience the fever dream game. Or otherwise hide it behind a secret. Falling down the pit would just wake you up in the farming game rather than show you the architect again. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So that was easy. We need to commit what I've done with skipping the dream game. So yeah, I think I'll take a break, and then when we come back, I'll answer the what games are coming next. And I think we need to design some that are just fun. And it should be the game you get into after the farming game. So you'll enter the farming game, you will tire yourself out, you'll go to sleep, you will wake up again. You'll get to the community center. So in here, toggle a lever. And then when you go into this portal, the next game should pretty much like just be a fun game that you're in. And right now it doesn't exist, so it just puts you on the screen. But yeah, it should put you in something that you're just like, oh, this is fun to play. So we'll talk about that when I get back. Is it jump time? It's jump time. I used to give an intro about this, but for those who've never seen this, you can type join in Twitch chat to play, and then J and a number to jump. I'll be back in a little bit. See you soon. Look at all the colors. All right, close the game. Hey, Deller. And hey, Sinistella. So I talked about this. Which sub games are coming next? Next one needs to be mechanically interesting to show there's more depth than just a bunch of seemingly disconnected sub games. Yeah, and I like this idea too. So new sub games. Okay, so quick summary. You start in the platformer. You go to the farming game. You no longer have the Fever Dream combo of the two games, and you should go to a new game. The new game should be mechanically fun and should be a good test bed of what Stuck in a Broken Tutorial can be about. Hey, Molback, it's coming along pretty well. Yeah. I've done a few playtests so far. So I've done 3 playtest sessions. And I think some things are working well in the game. And I think what we need now is for there to just be a fun mini game that you're playing. And I need to think of what this is going to be. So yeah, this should be interesting to design and then interesting to code too. I almost wonder if we should skip my stabilization phase for a bit. So I had a whole bunch of these sorts of things that I had planned. What is power down? An RPG where you have to spend skill points, but each one makes you worse, and the goal of the game is to stop killing stuff. I mean, I do think it'd be pretty fitting to go through all the sort of popular indie games. We start in just a generic platformer, but then the next game is kind of like Stardew Valley, and it'd be kind of interesting if the next game was like Vampire Survivors. But in this case, it's that you shouldn't be killing enemies. I do like the idea. Yeah, I do like the idea. What else do we have here? I was thinking we could do kind of like a twin stick shooter kind of game, sort of like Nuclear Throne. Do I have? Did I list a bunch of genres? Yeah, here. Yeah, twin stick shooter, creature collecting game. Hmm. I think it should be something more action oriented. When you have to die, then it's not Vampire Survivors or Vampire Victim. Yeah, if we had names in the game, I think we'd come up with some clever ones for this stuff. I don't think we'll put the names of the games in the game. Hey, Bullet Symphony. What type of game is the notes evolving to be? So this is all for Stuck in a Broken Tutorial. Like, I've already been developing the game for a little while. I'm not sure if that's what you're asking about. But yeah, we're working toward this. So right now we already have the first sub game. It's this platformer. And then that leads you into a farming game. And then from here, we want to put you in a new game. And that's what we're trying to figure out. So the new game, I think having it be a twin stick shooter could be kind of interesting. Like I said, whatever this is, it has to be mechanically interesting and more fun than a farming game. So it should probably be action packed, since you would have just come from a farming game. It needs to be broken in some way. Okay, let me just look at Nuclear Throne for a bit. I really like Nuclear Throne. I think it's such a good game. And I don't want to make the entirety of the game again, but you can see the graphics are pretty simple. What is this website that we're going to? Oh. Let's just go to, what is that, Game UI database? Yeah, here. Nuclear Throne. No game found. Maybe I can just go to the Steam page. Yeah, anyway, the world is really, really simple. Right? There are some walls, there's a floor texture. In this case, there's also ice. But in most cases, that's it. And then there's like an exploded floor texture. So yeah, world is simple. There's some lighting effects. This is mostly about the mechanics. And yeah, I think this sort of game is a lot of fun. I think it'd be cool to do an homage slash satire of this. And yeah, let's just kind of plan based on that. Okay, so let's talk about this for a little bit. Do I have... No, I don't. Okay, yeah. So I'd like to make a nuclear throne homage slash satire. So general tropes of the genre is like tons of guns. Maybe something like or Enter the Gungeon. I haven't played Enter the Gungeon in so long. I don't remember how the structure of the game was. I remember you found guns on the floor, but like, did you level up? Pick up shrines. All right, well, how about this? We could say like the genres could be twin stick shooter or roguelike. Switch and shift stuff, like a machine gun and lightning gun at the same time. Yeah, I think one of the things that could be kind of interesting is what if, like, here's my idea that I have. What if instead of picking one of three options, the game is like broken? I mean, not really. And you get all of the options at once. And eventually you're just stupidly powerful. And you defeat the final boss incredibly easily. Something like that. Like, I think this could be kind of an interesting idea. Hey, Tooth. Shovel transforms into a gun. Well, so we're not going to have too much connectivity to the past games. This is just a different game. There is no connection to the farming game. You won't have any, like, yeah, you won't have a shovel from there. You won't have the same sprite. It'll look very different. I like this idea. I sort of think that this could be a very challenging game, and you don't even realize how to break it at first until you get the option or you get the choice of like get one more option in the future in future choices, only to realize that you acquire all of them at once. I think that would be tough. I also think having you, well, yeah, no, I think this could be interesting. We could also make it a roguelike game where you're getting these random choices, but they're stacking forever and you're kind of expected to die. That could also be a nice angle. Another angle is to make this roguelite, but every choice you get stacks across lives forever. Oh, that sounds really cool to me. Yeah, this sounds really cool. And this is like the power fantasy that everyone wants out of these kinds of games anyway. And we could have it play out in like 10 or 15 minutes. Yeah. I have immediately fallen in love with this idea. I think we got to do this. Also, do try to be mindful of segmenting Bullet Symphony. Sorry, I have one unusual chat rule, and it is that I super love this idea. So upgrades could be somewhat unimpressive at first, but then you realize that you're keeping them across lives. Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. Yeah, I really like that idea. And yeah, I think it plays out sort of like Nuclear Throne. Maybe there aren't that many weapons. I don't know. There don't really need to be. You need some enemies and stuff for this. Yeah, so I like this idea. Let's go on itch and look for some assets for this sort of thing. Game assets, 2D, top down maybe. Well, actually, maybe we should search for like twin stick shooter. Out of curiosity, what would happen if we did search for this game assets? This doesn't look great. This is a little bit dark. The artwork's really good. Yeah, it's a little bit dark, and I'm not totally sure. Yeah. Okay, let's keep looking. Well, maybe this is a bad search. Don't see a whole lot here. Maybe just shooter. Some low poly stuff. I'd like an asset pack that kind of just has everything. I think this is one of the issues that, oh, that looks pretty interesting. I don't think this is great, but this is more along the lines of what I was thinking about. Maybe we don't need a whole lot here. But this is going to be a lot of fun to make. Legacy Shooter Research Center. I don't want it to be a space game because I want to do a different space game eventually. Oh, something like this looks pretty good. These are just for power-ups though. They're not for characters. Did they make any character ones? No. I was relying on there being more asset packs out there for stuff that I could just use. And there isn't a lot of it. Maybe let's just go to game assets without a search and pixel art 2D. Because I guess we could even do something like this. We could use these characters and have them like casting spells or something. Yeah, I know I've seen a lot of these. I have some of these written down already, I think. Fantasy icons. We're almost certainly going to buy something like this at some point because we're going to need a whole bunch of different icons. Well, these look pretty good too. How much is this? It's free. Free to use on non-commercial games. If you'll be using on a commercial game, please contribute any value. Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. This is nuts. Okay. Well, we should write this down. Smaller thoughts, asset packs worth looking into. This one need to pay some money to use commercially. I think that's pretty reasonable. There's a lot of nice looking stuff in here too. Oh, whoa, what's that? Oh, these are other packs? Oh, so this pack is just the UI stuff. Okay, my bad. I didn't understand that. All right, so we gotta go look at this one. What are these animations? And how much is this? Asset pack is on sale. Pixel character. Honestly, this could probably work. You track all the money you spend on development? Yeah, I do. I don't understand why there's a sale though if all this stuff is free anyway. All purchases are 50% off until May 30th. But they're free. What does that mean? Yeah, I truly don't understand that. Do any of these have a price? No. You get X number full is 72. Oh, did I miss that? Ah, yes, I did. Yes. Okay, got it. Got it. Yep, I missed that. Okay, thanks. Yeah. I'm familiar with that being the case. I just didn't look at it here. So okay, so you can get all these characters for how much then? Oh, it's not a bundle. Wait, no, it is a bundle. How do you buy the bundle then? I don't I don't understand, and I think I'm stupid. Uh, I know this is a different pack. I want to look at this quickly. This looks pretty nice. Can't help with that one. Yeah, I don't understand this bit here. Each item. Oh, I see. So it's not a bundle. The sale includes these asset packs, but you're not buying them at once. All right, do they fit the two of these together? Like maybe you should just play as one of the monsters. So wait, this thing that I was looking at, yeah, this is just totally free. And then there are a whole bunch of pixel effects that look really good here. How much is this? $25. Wow. Pack is on sale. They have a bunch of different colors and stuff. It's kind of hard to tell how many of these are unique because they're all playing out. Like I see a whole bunch of lines over here that I don't see anywhere else. How does this, what does this actually contain? Ah, here we go. 9 style colors, 15 packs of 50 effects each, range in numerical order, 9 colors placed in sprite sheet. Okay. I mean, yeah, this person's artwork's pretty good. What else do we have here? Yeah, I think we could make something with this. I think the combination of everything is going to cost a decent amount of money, though. Oh, wait. These are all different sub... Oh, my God. Okay, this person's got some confusing payment structure, I think. Yeah, so you could buy just some of the effects that you want. Yeah. All right, no wonder they had a $25 one. All right, what else haven't I seen yet? What is this? Just for like UI elements? Custom border and panels menu. Yeah, so this is a little bit crazy because like I wouldn't need all of these. I would need like one or two. And in terms of colors, I could even just change the colors myself. But this pack happens to be free. Pixel bullets. Yeah, okay. I think this can work. I just haven't figured out exactly what character you would be in this. I guess we're going to make a custom sprite for that anyway. Yeah, and we can just get all these different monsters. They have a whole bunch of different animations here too, and it's like, what are these all for? Oh, and like a 3D looking animation. I don't think I have a need for half of these. They have cool death animations. What is this supposed to indicate? Like flashing red? I think I've gone through all of them now. Hey, Dark. Okay, so yeah, I could see these assets working for this. All right, let's go. Let's go get all these. Not buy them now. I mean, just let's write them into this document. So we're gonna call this persistent roguelite. I guess every roguelite is persistent. Maybe like, yeah, maybe just the twin stick shooter thing. Twin stick shooter. We don't already have this written down, do we? No, we do not. Okay. Twin stick shooter. So assets. Monsters would be here. Hey, Pickle. Good morning. So monsters there. Where else do we have some of these things? There are some, yeah, characters here. I don't think we need this. How much are these? These were $7.50. Modify these to suit your needs. Credits unnecessary. Yeah, that's fine. That's all fine. Okay, yeah. The license is totally fine. The question is, do we want to use this style of character? And Quickie Joe is probably going to have to modify these sprites anyway. How nice, Scholar. Hope you have a good Friday too. Has the game been designed? It's been partially designed. I have a general idea. I have a general idea for assets as well. It looks like these characters have enough animations that, like, did they mention what they have here? They have the free version. They don't talk about what animations each thing has. It just says full 72 character, free 18, 22 animations. Let's just click download and try to get the free version and just see what happens. I will eventually buy this if I like it, but for now, yeah, let's get the free version. I want to see what animations they have. All right, char 1, character 1. Yeah, I was afraid of this. What I want to know is, what are these animations? They're not labeled. Like, is one of them supposed to be for holding a weapon? Is one of them supposed to be for throwing something? You satisfied with initial feedback, or maybe we should put some more content explaining the game? I think we're gonna remove it for now, but I think we can put it back in as a secret. Like, it won't, the code won't go to waste. I don't know, overwrite. Sure. So I just want to load up this sprite. All right, what do we got? This is probably an idle animation. This also looks like the exact same animation though. Walking animation. What is the difference between these first two rows? I don't see any difference. This is jumping, I think. This might be running. I'm not totally sure. This is various forms of dying. Yeah, hard to tell what these are supposed to be used for. Quite the chin you've got there. No, that's a cheek. It's coming out the side. Yeah, so I'm not super clear on that. And I'm also not certain that they go well with this. Let's look at all the characters again really fast. Yeah, you wouldn't be able to pick your character anyway, so we'd only be getting this as a foundation for animations. I wonder if we should just have Quickie Joe draw the character from scratch. Hoping future playtests won't result in just confusion. Yeah, so here's what I'm going to do. Today, I have a playtest scheduled in about 5.5 hours. And I'm going to show them the version of the game that does not have the Fever Dream game in it. And I want to see, are they like, okay, I get this? Because I haven't told them anything about the game. So are they just like, oh, cool, I get it. Yep, I understand. All right, well, let's put a link here. Characters not sold on this. Maybe have Quickie Joe draw the animations we need. Idle, walk. Shoot. It's kind of just those. Maybe a dodge. Like a roll dodge. Yeah, and then while we're at it, let's go get the other ones that they had here. I just got to find them. Here's the UI for this. I think this looks pretty nice. I like this a lot. The rest of it, I'm not sure if we need, but yeah, I like these life bars. Well, I'll write it down. Maybe we need it. UI elements may not need. This would be great. Platformer, trap, and weapon. I wanna just close all of this now because I can't tell what's going on anymore. Well, some of this would be great. I think some of the missiles and stuff. Who made all this? Bee Dragon? Platformer, trap, and weapons. There was one, though, that had all the pixel... Yeah, here it is, like pixel bullets. I think there are some good ones in here. Pixel bullets. And then the final one would be the pixel explosions and effects that they had. Where were those? And what is this? Fire pixel bullet? Man, there's a lot in here. Wow. I just want to find that gigantic thing of explosions that we found earlier. Was it this one? This is pack 2. There's something that has all of the packs. Yeah, here it was. And this is the $25 one, right? Yeah. Effects and explosions. It's a huge pack for $25. It contains tons of other packs. May be able to get by with just 1 to 2 sub packs. Okay, yeah. So let's talk about the game a little bit more. So those are the assets. The overview is this is a game that offers you upgrade choices that are permanent without telling you that they're permanent. So for example, you might get like +5 health, plus whatever, 5% attack speed, and +5 defense or something. I don't know. I'm just making things up. And like you're expected to die several times before you're just getting like tons of power-ups. This is, yeah, so like this is how the game is broken. Have I still not checked sales? No, I haven't. But I did mention that money has hit my bank account now, so I at least know what March was worth. But yeah, I don't plan on looking at the stats. Expected to die several times before getting tons of power-ups, and the gameplay roughly resembles Nuclear Throne. Yeah, so you'd go through these levels. I should probably link to Nuclear Throne on Steam, huh? Yeah, you go through these levels. There are monsters. They've got some different attacks or something. We don't really have attack graphics out of the monsters, do we? I don't want them to just swarm you. I want them to have like different behaviors. Might not really be able to use these. Yeah, because these all, I mean, they could like shoot projectiles at you or something, but they don't look like they're doing that. They just have like random jostling animations. These wouldn't actually be great without attack animations. Well, we could find some other like enemy pack here. Can I recommend this pack? This looks nice, but there's just not a lot to it. And this is kind of my problem with a lot of asset packs is that it's hard to make use of them. This is part of a bundle though with lots of stuff. So maybe with the lots of stuff, everything would be okay. Hmm. There's a lot here. I'd have to look through all of it. Like, I think it'd be hard to make the game I'm envisioning right now. This would be a lot better when it comes to attacking. Like these have dedicated attack animations that make sense for their characters. Like the archer is shooting their bow and the swordsman is actually swinging his sword. And that's the kind of thing I want. They also have death animations and stuff. But the problem is I want a player character that has a whole bunch of different attacks that they could use. A bugs creator. When someone finds himself in a level where he can't know how to become better and how to upgrade his skills, what should he do? I think usually there's some clarity about what gaps you have. So like let's say you're doing game dev and let's say you just looked at it at a high level. There's code, there's music, there's art. Like when you show someone your game, they'll say something like, wow, the graphics are great, but the music isn't so great. This then points to like music is a gap, right? And we're talking about a high level here. So at a low level, you might be like, okay, well, I'm writing code. I find it really difficult to write testable code, or I find it hard to extract common logic between functions so that I'm not writing the same thing over and over. It's like, okay, well, now you have something more concrete to show as a gap, and you can go look into how to fix that gap. So in the case of code, it could be learning design patterns, or it could be looking at other people's code to see what they're doing. It could be asking for help working with somebody else. But yeah, in general, I think it should be usually pretty clear where your gaps are. Then how you get better is based on what the gap is. So, you know, how you get better at music is going to be different from how you get better at coding. But in general, the same thing is going to be practice using resources you have available to you. So yeah, if you have more insight into where you're stuck, I might be able to provide a better answer. But yeah, I don't think there's any like magic formula for this. Yeah, so I like these assets. I think we need more player character stuff. I see this. But yeah, I think this is where guns make the most sense. Just this kind of game lends itself well to that. Pixel art. Is that a gun in here? What is she shooting? Yeah, wow. Huh. Is this 8 directions as well? Contain 8 frames in 6 directions. 6 directions. I see up, up, left. Okay, I see. So it's 3 directions, up, left, up, right, and then the reverse for down. So they're not actually ever shooting directly to the right. It's kind of weird. Yeah, hex. And then, oh, shooting is in 8 directions. Okay, never mind. Also, hi, Ramu. And yeah, I hope it helps Bugs Creator. Man, this is one of the difficult things for any of this stuff is just like, what artwork do we need? What's going to cause us not have to make like a million custom pieces of art for this? What is this? Oh, wow. This is nice looking art. I don't know about $60, but that's not for this game anyway. Hmm. Yeah. Hmm. I think this is by the same person who made the other graphics that I already got because it looks very similar. Is it? Did they make the treasure hunters thing? They didn't? Huh. Does look very similar though. All right, let's just search for guns. I want some kind of like shooter assets here. Yeah, these are all pretty cool. Then we just need a character to throw them on. And then a bunch of oh my god. What a demo. There's no automatic weapons in here though. Yeah, interesting. I mean, I guess it all depends on where we want to go, like what direction we want to go with this. Hey, Tinky do. What do we have here? A tile set, items. Oh, these aren't meant to be compatible with each other, right? They're different looking aesthetics. But yeah, I really like this. These remind me of Terraria. There's a lot of neat stuff in here. We need quite a lot in terms of this is why this is tough. Like, even if we make this game and it turns out to be a blast, it's like this will probably be 15 minutes in Stuck in a Broken Tutorial. But I do think it'd be fun to make this. All right, well, let's just compile everything that we've found. So weapons, Terraria looking guns, and bows. They're only guns and bows, right? No melee stuff? Yeah, no melee stuff. All right, what else do we find here? Oh, those are... What is this? Sire assets. What? I don't think we... I don't really like these reload animations. I'm not finding exactly what I was kind of hoping for here. These look pretty neat. But this is like the almost fake 3D effect. So we need our character to match that too. Also, I didn't want them to be like realistic guns. That's why I like the Terraria style a little bit better. This is very similar to the other one. And then in terms of shooting projectiles, I guess we'd use Where was it? This? Yeah, this would probably work. Hopefully. Hey, bye, Puff. And then just character. We need a character for this. Some like top-down character that we can use. I just need them with a walking and a holding animation. I think maybe getting Quickie Joe to do that would probably be best. And maybe we just use some like stand-in for that. Yeah, that's probably best. It's probably best to custom draw the character that we need. Idle walk, shoot, and maybe a roll dodge. We just need a single direction for these, since the character would only ever look left or right, and we rotate the gun. How did Enter the Gungeon do this? It has been so long since I played this game. I really should just play it again and see. So their character could face upward. It looks like they just had an up and a down. Yeah. And then they just rotate the weapon. So they had a couple of hand graphics that they added on top. Yeah, I think this should be easy enough. And I think we could just make it look like they're aiming in any direction, probably, by just moving those hand graphics. Yeah, I think that's fine. Plus, we gotta cut corners where we can. We're making like 14 different games. And we need some basic hand graphics. Probably just circles. So that we can hold the weapons correctly. Yeah. Okay. Hey, Campbell Soup. All right, so character wise would then be good, and then we just need enemies, some kind of enemies with like proper animations. I don't want to search for this anymore. I want to search for, and then I want to actually, design this. Maybe monsters. I want them to have attack animations though. Hmm. Monsters and villains. Yeah, these don't really look like they fit. They're all different sizes. Because they'd have to fit our like cartoony guns that we have. Oh wow, there are not a lot of these. Maybe searching for monsters is stupid. Yeah, maybe I should just be browsing assets. All right, I don't know. I'm not sure how best to find this. Sprite. Yeah, I'm not sure how best to find this. I don't need them to be fantasy. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to spend some more time on that. Ooh, this stuff's pretty neat. It would be kind of cool to make a Mega Man like game at some point. It'd be another platformer. Oh man. I don't know how many platformers I want to make. But we didn't make a real platformer at the beginning. Plus, it would be cool to make a Mega Man style game. Did I write this down? I mean, not every game needs to be like a large fleshed out game. And I want to make sure that I have this in mind. Not every game needs to be some large scale game. They could be simple mechanics, like a menu based game or a block based game. Yeah, scope creep is the design. All right, so let's get back to this. So I was thinking, yep, this game offers you upgrade choices that are permanent without telling you that they're permanent. You're expected to die several times before you're just getting tons of power-ups. Gameplay roughly resembles Nuclear Throne. So the goal is to like beat a couple of bosses. They're basically impossible without getting some upgrades. In fact, maybe the first upgrade is just kind of given to you. Like there's a treasure chest and it says open this treasure chest. Could be that the tutorial teaches you how to open a like supply crate at the beginning. And you just get that upgrade permanently without the game telling you. That way it feels like it's a broken tutorial. And then it could say dying is okay. You learn for next time. But you don't keep your upgrades. Even though you do. So it's teaching you like don't trust this game completely. Hey Leap Year Girl, how you doing? How did your week go? My wife told me that our cat learned how to open. We have like a small chest of drawers, and we put the cat toy in the chest of drawers. And it's kind of important to show what the opening mechanism is. Yeah. So imagine something like that. Yeah, this is actually pretty good. So the top of the drawer is just the handle to open the drawer, and it's the entire thing. So we would put the toy in here, and the cat just never figured out how to open this. She apparently learned how to open this drawer. So I'm guessing she stands on top of this and like kind of paws it open a little bit. So I moved it to this one, the middle one, thinking hopefully she won't be able to get into that, but I think she's a pretty smart cat and will probably learn how to open that too. This is completely unrelated to anything I was just talking about, but I just found this out today. Yeah, I love this idea. I just think there's going to be a lot of game to make for this. So should supply crates be where you get this? I don't want to do the roguelike stuff too much for this. Yeah. Where upgrades are permanent without telling you that they're permanent. Yeah. Getting an upgrade should show something like plus power or plus defense, plus fire rate, etc. Should there be different weapons you can get? Should probably be different weapons you can get. Although then you'd have to switch between them. Like, is there ammo? Can you run out? Just take over the world. She already has. Hey, Superkeeper. Look, there she is in chat right now. Oh my god. She's everywhere. Sending the fake Google Play card I made to one of his team members who promised me it'll be used to annoy scammers. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. I wouldn't consider it to be failed. Also, a lot of these jams have like tons of submissions, and it's hard to know which ones are just never shown or which ones, I don't know, just anything could happen with these. But congrats on finishing it. Are you fine with having the zones finished on Tuesday? Got some things to sort out? Oh yeah, that's totally fine. There's no rush. There's always going to be new playtesters. One of the things I'm trying to get used to is this thought of like, we need to hold off until X happens. There will always be a new X. That's my biggest learning. So yeah, you might wait until the zones are done, and then I'm like, well, but I'm polishing the music or something, or we should add it in this game too. And yeah, I'll just keep playtesting later. Okay. Yeah, I like this idea. I do think this is going to be a ton of work. I mean, that's probably how every one of these games is going to end up being. I also think this is a good game to add after the farming game. And I think this is one of those games where we naturally have the difficulty even itself out. So good players won't need as many upgrades, but the players who do need upgrades can get infinite upgrades. Like eventually your health bar will be so large that you can't die. I should come up with all the upgrades. Getting an upgrade should show a brief description above it, e.g. plus power or plus defense. There should be no indication of how much of any upgrade you have unless it's supposed to be obvious, e.g. with life. The UI can be broken for some of these. The life bar can overflow. Maybe regeneration has no limit or doesn't respect your max life. So you can just keep getting more health. I don't like that idea so much. Types of upgrades: power, defense, fire rate, regeneration. I don't think movement speed would be good. Any game that has uncapped movement speed becomes really hard to control. So we could just stop having the game drop movement speed at some point. That could be a way of handling it. But power can go up infinitely, defense can go up infinitely. In fact, maybe defense is how you end up winning the game most of the time. Your defense can go from like 1 to 10, and at 10 you don't take any damage. You just stop taking damage at a certain point. Fire rate, regeneration, life, max life maybe. Anything else? Maybe just different weapons. Excuse me. I like the idea of having different weapons for this, although you wouldn't really need it. If all you had is, let's say, a machine gun or something, it could just be that that's the only weapon you get. In fact, actually, if that's all we're going to do, we could use that character that we saw. Where was that? This. Well, I was looking at the female character before. There was a shooting animation. Where's that? Yeah, here. This has all 8 directions, right? Did they ever show it going to the right? Yes, they do. Yeah. This has all the directions. So we could just use this and only give you that gun. Yeah, you know what? That could work. Let's just type female there. There we go. I like that idea quite a lot. I need to write this at the top somewhere. Yeah, keep it somewhat short. Figure out the joke. Try to steer it. Some of these games should have more playtime behind them. Probably need to think about how to leave it. Yeah, and like keep it simple. So use one animation or like use a single weapon when possible rather than allowing for 10 different ones. Yeah, don't go overboard with levels or options. Okay, all right, this is getting a lot better. So twin stick shooter. There we go. So character, I think this is a great base character since it has, does it have walking in 8 directions? All animations contain normal, spear, and gun except in the free demo version. All animations contain 8 frames in 6 directions. Some contain 8, such as spear attack and shooting. So you can't walk in 8 directions? No. Well, that kind of looks like you're walking to the right, doesn't it? Only sort of. All right, what other things do you have here? Like, what was this intended to be used with?
Man. Yeah, it is kind of weird that they didn't have 8 walking direction. Man. Hmm. Was it only for the free version? No, I think they just don't have 8 walking animations. Most animations have 6 directions. Some animations like spear attack, shooting, and gun movements have 8. Hmm. Yeah, people have been asking about this sort of thing. I don't think they've added more since then. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of comments here. I think the work is nice. What is the cost? $3? Yeah, that's not bad. I just wonder, could we use this and have it look okay for walking to the right? I think it looks fine. I do wonder about the walking and shooting part though. I guess it's not really twin stick if you have to face the direction that you're. Hmm. Yeah, it's not twin stick if you're facing the direction that you're shooting, right? Because you can't be walking to the right and shooting to the left. That might be okay in this game though. Maybe it's just not a twin stick shooter. It's just a shooter. Yeah. All right. Uh, Maybe this is just like top down shooter. Top down shooter. Anything else where I had this written down? All right. All right. So where'd that character go? I just had it open. Yeah, here. And we just only have one weapon in the game. Hey, Fallen Great. It's also only $3. Do we have a dodge roll? I didn't actually look at that. We don't really need the dodge roll. Dash? Where's dash? Ah, there it is. I don't know. Whatever. We'll just figure it out. I think some of this is going to be like fit the game to the assets we have. Game. Make the game fit for the assets we have to reduce asset burden. All right. I'm going to take a quick break and then we're going to keep working on designing this. Is it jump time? It's jump time.
Hello, hello. Close the game. Okay. This doesn't sit totally right with me that we don't know which enemies we're going to have and that we don't know that this is going to fit completely. Like, I don't know. I guess we'll figure out the enemies a bit later. But yeah, so what else when it comes to this? Getting upgrades should show a brief description above it. Power, defense. Upgrades. Oh, maybe there's also like plus luck so that they can drop from other enemies. Hmm. Like, I need this game to ramp up very quickly, I think. So that over the course of 10 or 15 minutes, you can beat the whole thing. And yeah, one of the things we could do could have a drop rate upgrade that makes more upgrades show up. Yeah. Upgrades should drop from supply crates or enemies. Rationale, having you pick an upgrade would drastically slow down the game. Yeah, I think a drop rate upgrade would be pretty nice. Luck increases drop rate. So everything starts out, kind of balanced. You're fighting some enemies and then they're, I guess, kind of quickly getting out of control. So you're dying, but you come back immediately. I guess from the beginning. Dying should respawn you at the beginning. It should say dying is okay. You don't keep your upgrades, yeah. Weapons, they don't really matter. Okay, so game flow. You start next to an upgrade crate. The game can have text telling you how to play, move, and shoot. That's pretty much all you need. HP goes negative and you keep playing. So in this game, since it's about upgrading, I think having you die is important. By the way, do we have a dying animation for this? I think we saw, yeah, there's one. Yeah. You start next to an upgrade crate. Game says to shoot it open for a random upgrade. Yeah, dying should respawn you at the beginning. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think this is pretty good. And I think this is the perfect game to put you into after the farming game. This is more action packed. It is just about fun gameplay mechanics while still breaking the tutorial. You take a portal out of this game and you get to the next game. The difficulty scales with you. So, yeah, I like that a lot. So, we need more games along these lines. So, this is like top down shooter. I think this is pretty good. Creature collecting game. I really want to think about because I've shown the graphics on stream before. I gotta find them again. I have them somewhere. Let me see. Give me a sec. I commissioned graphics like 16 years ago or something for a Pokemon style game and then just never made it. Where is it? I can't find it. Where is it? Okay, here it is. Now, where is that located? Found it. All right, so
Can I load this? Aha. All right. So yeah, I had a bunch of graphics like this commissioned, and granted, they're not like super high res, I guess, but we got a bunch of like Pokemon style creatures, and it would be cool to make a game where we could finally use these graphics because they've just heretofore never been used. And we have Porcupup. I came up with names for all of them. This is Porcupup. I think it is great. It's dog.png, but yeah, it's half porcupine. But since we only have the graphics for these and no animations or anything, might make it a little bit tough. I love Porcupup. Yeah, there were a lot of these. I like the designs of some of them. There was one that was just like a lightning bolt, right? Yeah, like this. I don't know. Pretty cool. Could use them for a Final Fantasy 1 to 3 esque style turn based game. I was thinking it could be kind of interesting if you thought this was a mini game. Like one of the jokes that I think is funny is the surprising amount of depth out of something. So example, you're playing a farming game and it turns out, oh my god, they made every single tool and every crop, and yeah, there's just way more than you would have thought for a game that you passed through in like 2 minutes. I don't want to always do that though. So maybe we instead poke fun at some other aspect of this. So yeah, let's think about this. Okay, so what about a creature collection game? In my mind, some of the tropes of this are it's turn-based combat that's generally pretty straightforward. There are typically tons of monsters to collect. There may be like shoehorned mechanics to make you like the monsters more. So like personality, I don't know, breeding them or something. Uh, I mean, that's not really to make you like them more. Personality is one of them though. What else? Yeah. Breeding is one of the tropes though. What other things? I don't know. Concept of power levels not making sense based on the creature. So like a gigantic rock monster isn't as powerful as like a random ghost or something like that. Also, one of the tropes. Oh man, yeah. What am I thinking? The choice at the beginning of the game. Well, choice is like which monster, your rival's name. Hmm. Actually, it would be kind of funny. Okay, here's something we could do, and this would work with this. Okay, oh man, I like this idea, but I'm just spitballing here. So we have imagine Pokemon Red, Professor's Lab. Again, just spitballing. Imagine you see something like this, and there's Professor Oak, and he's like, "Hey, we got a choice of creatures for you to get." And instead of being 3 Pokeballs, and you go up and it's like Bulbasaur and Charmander and Squirtle, it's it's like 50 of them, and it's just every character that we have. And then the creature you get maybe doesn't matter as much as you might think, or there's only like one battle. Could be that we parody the choice at the beginning of these games. You have a collection of 50 different creatures. How many do I actually have? Is there a way to find this easily? $72 items. Yeah, so we have a lot of these apparently. This can't be 72, right? Hang on. Why doesn't it tell you how many things you have selected? No, it's 71. Yeah, I have 71 of these creatures.
Okay. Yeah. You have a collection of 71 different creatures you can choose from. I'm gonna just get a link to Porcupup here. Game Snake. So then I guess yeah, a problem here is that the player isn't going to look through all of them. And then what's the actual gameplay? So now you have this creature, or maybe many creatures. Maybe your goal is to collect them all, and you do so just by picking them up from the professor's lab. Like, wait, if you have these 70 creatures, why don't you just give them all to me? But I think there still needs to be some mechanic that happens. It could be that this is just for the sake of a joke. Like we make a lab environment and you can pick your creature and I mean getting into a battle against another creature I think is probably what's expected. And we could play out the battle mechanics. Although we only have the creatures facing in a single direction, right? Yeah, so we could just do some like left versus right battle. Although none of these are animated. Also, I could have sworn at some point. What is this? Yeah, I could have sworn at some point we had slightly higher res graphics for this. Maybe not. Huh. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just that. So we only have one graphic for each creature, and they're not super high res. Let me go take a look at this again. What were these? What were the resolutions? Yeah, like 120 by 120. Are they all that size? This one doesn't even have a size. 0 bytes on disk. How's that possible? I think because I haven't downloaded this. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Well, this image is, yeah, 120 by 120. Yeah. What is this decline? Is that an actual? No, it's not a Pokemon. Okay. We had names for all of them. I don't know what that one's name was. And maybe I have the names somewhere, but yeah, I don't know where at this point. Oh, we got items too. Man, I gotta find all these graphics again. I hope I have them still. Because I could have sworn they were higher res than that. And yeah, they're from like 2009, 2010. Oh man. I hope I have them somewhere. Oh, wait a second. Is this it? Please tell me this is higher res. Let me download this. Oh, they're PSD files. Oh, nice. Can I open this? Yeah. What is going on? Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay. We have much higher res graphics than I thought. I was like, there's no way we just have that. Yeah. Good. Good. All right. I have these in a bunch of different places. So somewhere I must have the. Oh, thank goodness I saved this stuff.
Oh yeah, we had a ton of graphics here too. Man, look at some of this stuff. Like none of this was used. I have everything already. Wow. We even had a town layout thing. Let me open this up. Wow. Yeah, this graphic was artwork for this game was really good. Game never got made. But yeah, super cool. Yeah, so okay, these are not where I have this. And it's not just 120 by 120. We only have one graphic for each creature. We have some items as well. So yeah, I think we could do something with this. And I think there should actually be a little bit of a game behind this. It's not going to be super polished if we only have one graphic for each creature though. And I still don't know what we should do in terms of gameplay. Like we could have battles. I still feel like there needs to be some gimmick to this. I don't know. Let me just continue planning on some stuff. Maybe you can just keep picking monsters to recruit to your team in the beginning of the game. And maybe you have a series of small puzzles to solve. There's I don't know, that require a particular monster. I still think battles would be what's expected. Yeah. There's kind of no way around that. And we can make a battle system and we can, I don't know, like semi animate the graphics. But to what end? Like, what's the point of this game? Maybe it is just a monster breeding game, and breeding two monsters gives you some like random thing. There's a game called Dragon Warrior Monsters a while ago, and there, where do I find this? I don't know, maybe here. Breeding, yeah. They had some rules for how you did this and how you got like different characters out of this. I don't fully remember how this worked. Or you could do something like that, where the goal is to collect them all, but you collect them through breeding them. I don't want this to get like weird though. Stack them on like a Jenga game. Imagine monster stacking. Hmm. Hmm. Breeding them and nothing more. So like you, I mean, we'd just be creating like random things out of this, right? I think it'd be part of the humor value of it. But yeah, we have the foundation for something here. I don't know what it is. Yeah, let me just keep brainstorming some things here. What if the monsters weren't actually for battling purposes? Like you battle using a sword and shield, and the monsters are there to cheer you on. Hmm. Actually, because we only have one graphic per monster, this could work well as a card game. Those could be card images. We also have items. It's pretty similar to the Pokemon card game at that point. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. I didn't think of that. I already had an idea for a card game joke, but this could be an actual card game with mechanics. With actual mechanics rather than the joke about having a single card and there's no real game. We need to come up with an entire card game, though. Maybe it could be a card game about creature collection. There's some resource management, and each monster produces a certain resource. Are you playing against an enemy, though? Hmm. Do I still have this open? I have this one open. Yeah, each card could just be this with like a textured background. It doesn't need to be anything too crazy. And there'd be some text on it that tells you what this does. Hey, PG King. This one's a cutie. Yeah, there are a lot of really good designs from this. And I don't have them all open anymore. I remember Porcupup being one of the most memorable ones. Yeah, here it is. Let me see which other ones were pretty good here. Yeah, this would be perfect for card art. This is going to copy weirdly, but let's see if it works. No. Maybe over here. Yeah. Yeah, so there were a lot of different graphics here. Yeah, I like them. Yeah, I think card game is a way to go with this. So card game about creature collection. How would that function? What would be the gameplay loop here? Definitely think this is fitting for a card game. Maybe you're battling other NPCs, and if you win, you get their cards. Have you ever done a game jam when you weren't working on a specific project? I've never done a game jam except for Jump Royale. I said I wanted to make a game in 3 days. I don't know if it was specifically a game jam. But yeah, we did make the game in 3 days, and now we're still playing it to this day. Still need mechanics. We're going to do this. Yeah, a lot of these sorts of games would probably lend themselves well to participating in a game jam. I just like when I think of okay, maybe it's worth listing out. I've played Hearthstone. I've probably played Magic the Gathering at some point, and I probably played the Pokemon trading card game. And I think those are the only real card games I've played along these lines. I might have played like one round of Gwent, but I don't think there are any other ones. Hearthstone has minions, weapons, spells, now locations and stuff, quests, whatever else. But it was mostly just these three at the beginning. And yeah, you play minions and choose who they attack. I mean, it's pretty similar to how all these ones work, right? Like you have minion cards, you have spell cards. So yeah, we would have minions and items. I don't think we have anything else. Not that we can't draw other artwork like this. Yeah, that's all we had. And then I guess not much in the way of these graphics, but there were some environment graphics. How do I copy this? I'll just take a picture of it. Yeah, there were some environment graphics like this. So I guess we could, well, these are probably hard to use. And we don't have very many of them anyway. The idea was that we were supposed to have like certain resource nodes and stuff. So yeah, we have some. It could be like a board game, actually. I hadn't thought of that. It could be like a board game instead of a card game. Depends on what makes the most sense. But yeah, Minions, items. I guess there need to be some objective. The more involved this gets, though, the more we have to teach you. And card games are generally not like a, hey, your very first game is going to be fun. Oh, I guess Slay the Spire. What am I talking about? I played Slay the Spire a lot, too. Slay the Spire was kind of interesting because you didn't get minions exactly. Like, you have attacks, skills, and powers, and you're fighting enemies. Oh, and then there was some other game I played like 5 minutes of. I forgot the name of it though. But yeah, this is more along the lines of what we could probably do here. So maybe it's a creature collection game where you're fighting enemies and you're using your cards to do that. I'm still not totally sure how this would work though. Maybe it's like Slay the Spire in that you have cards, but you're not fighting symmetrically. Hmm. Or maybe we merge it with another genre. Like a sim style game. So you get cards that are your actions. I still don't know how this would work. Your goal is to collect creatures. You need to earn these cards somehow. Hey, Magnus. Happy Friday. Yeah, I don't have a great idea for this. And I feel like if I spend another half hour, we might come up with something that's decent. I like the idea of a card game. I like the idea of you collecting these creatures and you can collect more and more of them. And then, yeah, maybe you have some like starting set that you're getting. I don't know what decisions you're making with them though. Yeah. So yeah, things I like. Card game, collecting creatures. Still don't know the mechanics. Hmm. I mean, let's consider maybe draft a card or two. So Porcupup, attack, like 1 mana, 5 damage, and bark, 2 mana, lower enemies attack by 1. And then we have some. I gave names to all of these things. Where are they? Hmm. Monster abilities. What? 2010. Oh man. Wow, well, I found all of them. The cat's name was Mio Mix. And yeah, we had a bunch of things listed out here. Bite, scratch, meow, glower, dash, sting, frenzy. I mean, none of this stuff really matters, right? And we had what? Chillbit was like a frozen rabbit. And it had bubble, spray, frostbite. Anyway, cool, whatever. So, hey, quote me. So I wonder if we could get like Pokemon style battles out of a card game without being the Pokemon trading card game. Because that's what Pokemon tried to do, right? They had the base game where they had turn-based battles, and then they turned it into a card game, and it still mimicked a lot of the attacks that you could do in the main game. So like you'd summon creatures and then have them attack each other. Really only need left and right. That works well. Yeah, yeah, I agree. But if you have the other directions, I think it's nice for some depth. But yeah, I don't think it's necessarily worth seeking out. I never played Pal World, but Pal World was supposed to be like you've got some whole other aspect to the creature collection, right? I almost wonder if this could be like your cards versus a task. The task is like build a house, and you need to use your creatures to help you do that. But I don't know how you're collecting more. I think for the stakes to be interesting, you've got to be battling. Yeah. Are you on the game design phase? Yeah, I'm doing game design for sub games of Stuck in a Broken Tutorial. So this is the game I've been working on for the last like month and a half or so. And the game is a collection of sub games. So this is what this looks like at the beginning. So you start a game and you're in a platformer. And it's a tutorial, but it's broken. So you are working your way through this. You're learning how to play this game. And then you eventually get to the broken part. Yeah, over here. You try to collect the diamonds in one go. You try, you fail, you fall. And you're falling for quite a while, and it gets dark. Anyway, so you work your way through this, and you eventually make it to the next sub game, which is a farming game. And yeah, what we're designing right now is another sub game that would be in this sequence. And I'm thinking it'll be a card game, and I don't know what the mechanics would be. But yeah, welcome in, Dagger. StarCraft, your creatures are your workers. Like that kind of thing could be interesting, right? Like, yeah, what if this was just StarCraft and you're collecting resources and battling by managing these cards? Like maybe you're not playing them like you play a card from your hand in all these other games. That's how Hearthstone works, Pokemon, Magic the Gathering. Like you were taking a card and playing it. What if it was you were taking a card and assigning it to a task? Assigning cards to tasks. Or maybe assigning them to battles. Like, yeah, and then they fight automatically. Botland? No, it's not Botland. But yeah, so there could be as I'm kind of picturing something like this. So imagine you had, let's just say this has a heal ability and a weak attack, and this has a strong attack and a, I don't know, quick attack or something like that, and this has a debuff and a medium attack. So like each card has a probability for each move on the card. You assign it to a location, and it will automatically perform those actions on the card. Then they get loot and you can sell it in the store. Yeah, there'll probably be a car race at some point. Just not in this card game, I think. A Hamdazilla. Is some kind of buff cards for machines or people. Still need to complete that track. Yeah, card to game. I kind of like this idea. My concern is that if this isn't a very simple game, then it'll probably take more time to learn than it's worth, I guess. So this idea of like pick your starting team, you pick this one, let's say, and then you challenge someone to a duel. And actually not challenging someone, I guess you're challenging like everyone in a room. And then you're assigning them to these battles. And once you've assigned them, you can't like take them away from that battle. I'm just gonna continue spitballing here with this. So you are challenging a group of people to a battle. You have like three directions on the table. You can see which card they've placed down for you to battle. There are health bars on the cards. You can put down any number of cards in each slot. Yeah, this is probably going to be too confusing. Yeah, I think we need to simplify this. Ezra, cards. Well, we have graphics from a that I commissioned a long time ago that are just like still images of creatures, and some of them are fantastical. This one's Porcupup, so it's part porcupine, part dog. So this one's not too fantastical, but like we don't have other animations. We don't have other. I don't know any other graphics. So like I think this would be pretty fitting for a card game or a board game. And the problem is that this would be a card game you play for like 10 minutes. So there can't be very advanced mechanics or anything. I'd like it to be about creature collection. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, it's thinking about probabilities in battle. Maybe that's what you're doing is just you're treating it like a Pokemon battle. Maybe the cards are just your Pokemon and you're sending them into battle. At that point, they're not really cards. You go through a biome beating biome bosses. Yeah, but you still need to figure out the mechanics of like what's actually going on there. So as an example, let's say we pick like Charmander from Pokemon. You had what, like Scratch and you had Tail Whip or something? I don't know. I might be making this up a little bit. And Squirtle would have what, Tackle and what, Bubble something, Bubble Beam, I don't know. Bubble something. um they have they had power points in the Pokemon games that let you only use the attack so many times, which is kind of silly. But yeah, what if these things played out in an automated way so that you're not controlling the battles? And at that point, I don't think they need to be cards. I think they just would be creatures. Maybe they could level up as well. And how are you controlling this stuff then? I mean, what we're talking about is what I had planned for Idle Ascendants. You had abilities that chose themselves. Mhm. I mean, if it's going to be automated, there needs to be a reason for the automation. It could literally just be with the old Pokemon games where you just have attacks and stuff and you level up your characters. But then how is this broken? This were just the regular Pokemon. How would this be a broken tutorial? Like, where is the fun in that game? Where's the fun in regular Pokemon anymore, by the way? Like, regular Pokemon was part collection, part exploration, part battling, and like part of this was leveling up. You didn't have items in the first one. Not that you could equip to Pokemon, I mean. So leveling up, I guess like choosing moves, choosing evolutions, and choosing your team. But I think this is pretty flimsy nowadays, at least turn-based battling, just over and over and over again. I wonder if we could do something different. Could have been anything else. Yeah, yeah, which is kind of fitting for this sort of game. Like mechanic that could have been something else. It is called Stuck in a Broken Tutorial. Also, please do try to be mindful of segmenting, Ezra. Biome boss could be silhouetted. Players need to pick one card to use to fight that biome boss based on the environment. To get other cards that have plus or minus stats. Yeah, Yeah, I think I want to still like there needs to be a loop that's happening here, and I got to figure out what that loop is. What would the loop of this game be? Because if you're starting with, let's say, a character, yeah, you could get into battles. It could basically be like what Pokemon was, but there needs to be a way to break out of this. And I don't want to go the same route that I plan to go with the space shooter, where you just turn around and fly in the wrong direction to leave the game. There should probably be, well, there could be some puzzle aspect to this. You have to catch Pokemon, but you don't have Pokeballs, so you have to run after them. Just like catch. Yeah. I'm still nothing is inspiring me here yet. It's not to say that they're bad ideas or anything. I need to think about this. So this is like a memory game that I think choosing the different creatures wouldn't matter so much. Like there should presumably be a reason for you to have different creatures. What if this is just turbo Pokemon? Like you get a creature, you you do some kind of rock paper scissors battle, and then you level up or don't. Maybe everything takes place through rock paper scissors. Like maybe, oh, you know what's kind of interesting? I probably did not come up with this myself, but what if each card had some like ratio of rock to paper to scissors? So you may have a like 90% rock, 10% paper card. And then a battle is just rolling the dice repeatedly until someone wins. Problem is that it's basically telling you the win rate ahead of time if you can see the opponent. But maybe that's fine. There's some amount of thinking you'd have to do, right? And we couldn't even just randomize these amounts. You need to swap the card user, or else you totally destroy a card. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And then maybe the broken part is there's like is that you get like rock paper cards and paper scissors that will beat, well, let me just put it this way. Anything but, well, I guess it can't be anything. I don't know what I'm talking about right now. I guess they'd lose only the paper. Yeah, although if ties are a thing, then I guess you'd tie at that point too. No, that doesn't make any sense. Unless we have like four things in the cycle. That way you could use your high win chance for a specific time or purposely lose. Yeah, yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking here at least. But I wonder maybe there's a better way to position this. Like mm, maybe like this is easy to understand positioning at least. You have a chance of picking rock, paper, or scissors, and your creatures all just they show their chance on the card. You play a card against someone else's card. You win or you lose. I don't know, maybe there's some abilities or something. There could still be life values or a chance to do damage based on a stat. So it's like attack 2, 90% rock, 10% paper. So when you pick rock and they pick scissors, you do 2 damage, something like that. And then yeah, abilities could be pretty simple based on these rules. Like take yeah. Dagger, are you saying you'd like see what the enemy is going to do? Like they don't have probabilities? Because I think it'd be interesting if both cards had probabilities in a duel. So these mechanics would work. This could even be a decently fun game. I don't know what the point of this is still. So you win a battle and you collect like their cards and then you just do more battles. Is that fun? Also, as long as I'm coming up with ideas, we could render this in a circle and spin a wheel and like run a spinner to pick. So imagine something like this. Whoops, that's not a circle. How do you draw a circle in here? What am I doing? Why is this not connected? Or whatever, it's good enough. So what I was thinking is like this slice of the pie could be rock. And then like the rest of this, let's just connect this. The rest of this could be paper. And it runs a little spinner that moves. There. Accurate technical rendering. Rock, paper, wizard. There's a kids game in Korea called -1. Rock, paper, scissors with both hands, and at the same time choose one of your hands. Wait, based on what you see, you try to quickly choose which of your 2 hands you use. This happened in Squid Game toward the end, I think, right? They played this game. I thought it was interesting. Although in Squid Game, the stakes were much higher. Yeah, I'm still not sold on this. And I like the idea of dice being involved or something here. All right, let's keep brainstorming some stuff. So, what if you had a team of 6 and you rolled dice to figure out which character would attack? I think this is probably way too much to think about. Yeah, like a lot of this, I think if we were making a game that's like 5 hours long, then some of these mechanics could be interesting. Like imagine you had a roster of 1 Charmander, 2 Squirtle, and 3 Bulbasaur. And you first rolled a 3-sided die to pick which creature, and then you roll an X-sided die to pick the attack. So, you roll a 1, you get Charmander, and then you have like Scratch and Tail Whip. And this is, A and B. So you roll 1B, or you use Tail Whip on the enemy. Then I guess the point of this would be to maximize your chances of doing any particular thing. But I don't think that's very fun. And like I said, I think this is too much to learn in a short amount of time. I've seen Dicey Dungeon. I only know that it exists. So like I've seen it in that way, but I haven't played it. No, wait, no, I have played this game. I'm thinking of Die in the Dungeon. Die in the Dungeon I have only seen but not played. Dicey Dungeon I actually have played. So this is a good example of a game with, I think, deep enough mechanics that you could play it for hours. Like, I don't know how long you're expected to play this. What's the how long to beat on this? Main story, 27 hours. Yeah. So like, if you were to play this game and you learn the mechanics and then they're like, okay, cool, it's been 10 minutes, you're done. I think you'd be like, what? Like I barely scratched the surface. So we're basically making a mini game. And yeah, we just got to find a good way to do this. Yeah. The other thing about creature collection and doing rock, paper, scissors is that it doesn't really play to the creature at all. Like if you have a creature collection game, you want the creatures to do different things. Hmm. Okay, so what if it was a game about positioning? Like certain creatures get along with other creatures and then flourish. Uh, hmm. So like putting your cat next to a dog makes them angry at each other or something like that. Or putting the cat in view of the goldfish makes it happy and the goldfish doesn't care. Okay, that's kind of a fun little twist on this. Like, one of the things that Pokemon games don't need to talk about is what do you do with this menagerie of creatures that you have because they all fit into Pokeballs, and Pokeballs could like fit on your desk. So you could have a gigantic whale inside of a whatever 5 square inch or a cubic inch prison. It's not a prison. Um, But what if you didn't have that and you needed your creatures to be in some space? It's like, well, now you have a farmstead of creatures who might not get along with each other. Hmm. Still not satisfied with any of this stuff, though. I still think cards are the way to go. Getting duplicates should also matter to some extent. Hmm. I'm trying to think like some base cases. Let's say you have a single card. Is the game fun? What are you doing? If you have a deck, are you editing it or building it? Maybe you're choosing the best card to add at the end of each round based on what you see ahead. That's the problem with any strategy game, right? You need feedback, you need some sort of like anticipation of what's ahead. Like, hey, I'm about to enter a battle with a bunch of fire Pokemon. Okay, I'll equip a bunch of water Pokemon. Like that's how gyms worked in the game. The problem with any of this stuff is that we're eking outside of 10-minute territory. Like, okay, you can edit a deck. All right, now there's a bunch of deck building UI and whatever else. So it's like, okay, deck building just can't be in this game the way it would be traditionally. It'd have to be that you're adding cards to a deck, but then the deck can't be very large so you understand it at any given time. No deck building. I think it could be deck building just in a very simplified way. Like how Slay the Spire does it. You start with a deck that's what, like 11 cards or something, and by the end of the game maybe you get up to 20 cards. But Slay the Spire would already be too complex for this. And there can be depth in this game. There just also needs to be a way for a normal player who doesn't find this fun to be able to beat it and move on. Yeah. All right, let me just continue thinking about this for a bit. So each creature has a life value that is persistent. Each round is either a battle, a way to collect a new creature, or a shop to pick one of 3 items or something like that. Maybe just each round is a battle. Rewards. You see 3 cards and pick one. Interesting about giving the creatures giving them a life value. That way there's deck building, but the effect is resolved all at once. Yeah, I see what you mean. There's just like the score you get in each round, and you just had to pass a certain score. Yeah, I don't know. There's certain genres that lend themselves well to this minigame idea. Like a farming minigame is probably something like Fruit Ninja, where you're slicing fruits. It's not going to be something like Stardew Valley farming because you need way too long to do it. Another idea that could work here is that you get these creature cards through collecting diamonds or something, and they don't do anything, but they have mechanics on them. If it's turn 3, do 5 damage. But you never actually get into a card battle to see this play out. Oh man. All right, hang on. What time is it? It's 11:09. I'll pause the current break that's about to start. I should probably take a bit of an early lunch because I got to stop by 2:30 today because I have the playtest session at 3. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I think of all this stuff, something like a rock paper scissors mechanic probably makes the most sense. And rock paper scissors would just be some like element combination. So like fire, water, grass sort of thing maybe. I think the simplest thing to do would still be rock paper scissors. I'm not sure it would be fun. We could also just prototype that. Yeah. The thing is, I want to use these graphics that I commissioned a long time ago. I think they look nice. I think they'd be good in this game. And I want to use them. And yeah, rock, paper, scissors is simplified enough. Hmm. Yeah, I think it could work though. So in each battle, the opponent plays their card first. So you see something like rock 70%, paper 20%, scissors 10%. Maybe they each have their own damage values. Or maybe there's just an attack on here 5, life 10. So now you play. I mean, the thing you're always going to do, I guess not always, because you do have life and attack on these. You're going to try to play paper because you're going to see this is 70% of the time it's going to roll rock. Yeah, maybe we just prototype this style of the game and we just see what happens. And there are item cards you can get that will change the rate that you have. Yeah. So then you play your card, and the cards maybe battle until one of them is dead. Until one of them is at less than 1 life. And yeah, that's it. And then like you could play item cards that could change values. Plus 15% rock, minus hold equally from other chances, something like that. Or like nullify paper chance on enemy. Or double damage this turn, something like that. Yeah, this would work. I guess then like creatures would have predetermined stats, I guess we call them. Porcupup always has a 70%, 20%, 10% loadout. Gameplay really kind of just does boil down to how do you counter what's there without losing too much life on one of your cards. But it's also kind of deck building because maybe you already have a lot of like strong against paper cards. You would get a creature at the end of each battle. You would pick based on your creature's life values and stats. Maybe you could just augment a creature permanently, add +1 attack or heal. It's a game. It's a game. Yeah, it still just boils down to this sentence here. Would it be fun? And I think it could potentially be. I don't know how the game ends. Do you just do enough battles or collect all of the creatures? Maybe that's it. You've got to collect. Yeah, maybe the goal is to collect X unique creatures. But your deck is randomized. Not something like that. But there's some difficulty in collecting them. Random cards from your creature collection. I don't know. Yeah, I think we'd have to come back to this. This is it's just decent right now. Yeah, I'll copy paste this into here. I don't have a card game here already, do I? Card game. Yeah, all right, well, card game. So assets, the old Game Snake assets with Porcupup, etc. Overview. Each card has the following stats: life, attack, rock, paper, scissors. In battle, the opponent plays their card first. You pick a card from your hand based on the opponent's stats. Creatures auto battle until one dies. And yeah, then we have some ideas here. How is this broken? Yeah. A lot of unanswered questions here. It is a power of two. Thank you, Zoe. Thanks for the sub. Happy 8 months. Happy 2 to the 3rd months. This is incomplete. I'm not sure the idea that I have planned would be fun, and I don't know how it would end. All right, well, what other things do we have here? So the top-down shooter, I'm pretty happy with. I like that idea quite a lot. I think that'd be fun. I think it'd be cool as the next game. Then I didn't have any other kind of crazy ideas. I think it still needs to be, well, I don't know. We could go to a funny game. Like this top-down shooter doesn't have anything funny about it, really. Yeah. And we need to vary how we present all of these to the player. I think ending up in some kind of block-based game could be kind of interesting. I don't know what we do there. I really, really like Tetris Attack. It's such a cool game. And we don't need to make the same game. There's an IMDb page about it. Can I just find like a screenshot that I can open? Yeah. So this game was essentially a match 3 game, but there was gravity on these blocks. So like if you match these 3 and there was a purple diamond above it, then these would get deleted and then this would fall. And you could, while it's falling, like connect other purple blocks so you try to get a combo. And it was multiplayer too, so you could send like garbage blocks to your enemy. I think there have been so many different match 3 style games that have been made, and they've explored all sorts of different territory. Like the match 3 is so they can control another game. The yeah, it's just supposed to be like a bunch of colors and numbers or something. There are puzzles. And I do think going to a game like this that takes place on one screen would be a good idea. Okay, I like the idea of it's a straightforward match 3 game, but how you match is not straightforward. Like imagine if your character was like 1 pixel tall and you had to somehow move one of these green blocks. Like the act of moving it would be really difficult. So maybe you need to get a bunch of other little characters to help you move it. Or maybe like you get a shrink ray or something. Reminds me of those Zelda block puzzles. Some of those blocks were huge. Endless Runner time. Do I have Endless Runner on the list? I don't think I do. Yeah, we should put that on there. Endless Runner. Yeah, this is what I'm thinking of here. So like Link pushes these gigantic blocks. Imagine if this was all just part of a match 3 game. Like this one has a moon on it, so you push it into some other moon ones and then they just disappear. I mean, as long as I'm just writing things down, I might as well write this down, but I don't know if I like it. What if it were like Zelda where you're pushing huge blocks, but the point is to match 3 of them? I think I gotta take a lunch break pretty soon and then come back to this. Oh, this is pretty cool. Printable Zelda blocks. Neat. What else? What else? What else? What else? What if it were like Mario Party where you're carving out the blocks so that you can match them? Stacking normal household items and they disappear like a Tetris row? Yeah. Like imagine almost like a physics-based Tetris where if you manage to get something in a line, it'll delete the whole line, but you could do it by like throwing a block up and it just temporarily forms a line and then deletes it all. But if you didn't make it, it would just fall back down. I mean, I might as well write that down. It's like Tetris, but with physics. And you just need a line to form even temporarily for it to clear the line. Yeah. This is why we got to do a bunch of game design days because there's just so much that goes into this. And by the way, I think sometimes just looking at assets can spark some inspiration. Hey, this looks very much like Enter the Gungeon. Or not Enter the Gungeon, Reed Dungeon. God, I really want to make a game like that. Yeah. Reed Dungeon homage. With this asset pack. Like you have a cursor selecting 2 blocks and you swap them around to form a full line. Yeah, I almost want to combine this with some other genre here. I don't want everything to be just a genre combination. But I like the idea of throwing in some like RPG characters in here. And I don't know, you power them up or something. There are a lot of mobile games that have done something like this. There's that game, what is it, Puzzle and Dragons? I don't remember exactly how this game works. But yeah, each battle, I know this is a really blurry screenshot. Let's just click this and see what happens. Is there a way to, whatever, it doesn't matter. Anyway, each battle you'd like connect some of these blocks, and then based on what you connected, it would empower your same colored heroes that you have here or something, and then they would attack these enemies. So that's a way of kind of merging the whole match 3 mechanic with an RPG. A lot of these, because they're mobile games, came down to just like stat dumps. Like, oh, your character, you got to get him to A rank, and to get him to A rank, you need to spend this much money or something, and you have only so much stamina to play the game, and yeah, whatever else. I feel that. Do something like Tetris style level where you have to clear the blocks in order to make a path for a platformer RPG. Yeah, that I think is pretty interesting. It reminds me of a game, I think it was called like Fortress Game Boy Color. What was it called? Yeah, this. I didn't play this game, but I thought the idea sounded really cool. Where's a screenshot of the game itself? Oh, it's Game Boy Advance. That's probably why it's not showing up. Yeah, I don't fully know how this game worked either. I think you got little Tetris blocks and you plopped them down, and then based on the shape, it would form like a tower or a barracks or something. And your goal was to build up a tower and protect against enemies. Again, I don't totally know. But yeah, that was a cool way of combining Tetris with something else here. So yeah, it would be kind of interesting if you had a platformer where you're putting down blocks, but if you form a solid line, then they delete themselves. And I don't know. Yeah, we got to be careful that we don't have too many mechanics in this. And if all it is forming a solid line deletes it, then like there probably wouldn't be any difficulty. I guess it could be that someone else is putting down those blocks and you need to climb up anyway. I'm not sure, but I think I got to take my lunch break. Yeah, I'd like to design at least one other game. We'll have another couple hours maybe to do it. I like the one we came up with already. I think this is really cool. For those who didn't hear, it was going to pretty much be like, imagine you've got this character. You can shoot bullets, and there's a bunch of enemies. So it's kind of like Nuclear Throne almost. But the gimmick with this would be every time you collect a power up, it is permanent without you knowing that it's permanent. So on your first run through, you might get like plus damage and plus life, and then you die. You come back, you still have the plus damage and plus life, but maybe the UI doesn't make it super obvious. So you start getting like way more powerful than you should be, and you eventually just overwhelm all the enemies. I think it's a pretty cool idea. They send destruction stuff at you. Yeah, there could be like a multiplayer collect 3 that's playing out. It could be that you're playing against another character and it's about who can match 3 faster. Yeah, but I'm going to take my break now. So I'll be back again in about an hour, and I'll be back for probably just a couple hours because, like I said, I have a playtest set up for this afternoon. So thank you all for watching. The afternoon stream is going to be pretty similar to this, just a lot of talking and writing in documents. So if you enjoyed it, then great. If not, I totally understand. This is not everyone's cup of tea. But thank you for being here, and see you next time.